Welcome to Threes and TDs, a podcast all about the Carolina Panthers in the National Football League. I hope y'all are having a good day. This is being recorded on Monday evening to be released Tuesday. So, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about what we saw at a practice. There's some things to talk about in regards to Dave Canales and his presser, a few of the injuries. There were some things that came up on the injury report that we'll kind of need to take a look at. So let's start there. From an injury report standpoint, Dave Canales said that Nick Scorton had a lot of improvement, and that's great. He said he was running. He will probably be held out, obviously, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but good to see him do well. I talked about this over the weekend, but he had a collapsed lung, so they didn't want to fly him because if you fly someone with a collapsed lung, there's a danger of it getting even worse. So they drove back cross country not all the way cross country, mid country, is that what it would be called? So from Houston to Charlotte. So that's good. He'll probably be held out. Something that did come up on the injury report is that Tedero McMillan did not play. He had a little bit of a limp. It sounded like it was hamstring related. Dave Canales said in his presser, they're just being precautionary with him. Nothing to worry about. He's going to be fine. But there is a chance that he might not play Thursday, which honestly I'm fine with. What else? What else came up on the injury report? Good news, JC was out there practicing. The stitches were out. You could see him practicing. I would be shocked if he played on Thursday. I think they're just being really careful with him. But, he was out there practicing for the first time in over a week. So that's fantastic. It's really, really good. I'm trying to think of any other injuries. I don't think there were any other injuries that came up, but that's the injury report. I want to talk about this thing with joint practices versus preseason and where Canales really sees the role of joint practices and the role of the preseason. Because I think, and I said this, I was on a Twitter space with my buddy Ricky, and what I told him was, I said, I really think that Canales never really wanted to play his starters. He never really wanted to do that. What he wanted to do was I really do believe that Canales finds more value in joint practices than he does in preseason. And our fan base is divided on this. Half of the fan base is like, yeah, don't injure. And I'm okay, you don't want to get injured. The other fan base is, yeah, this is the crap that we were given last preseason, and let's see how far that got us. We were completely not prepared for week one. So I don't know. I'm not really sure where I'm at in that process. I will say that I think that the starters should have been out there for more than 2 series. They just should have. I would have been fine with 3 series. I would have been fine with 4 series. I would have been fine for a quarter. Any of those options would have worked for me. But that's in the past. We've got to move on. It's not, and the reality of it is that it is a preseason game, but context is important. And the context is that this fan base has been devoid of any competency for the last, 7 years. We haven't won 7 games since 2017. Just let that sit in for a second. This franchise has not won 7 games since 2017. And the 2017 year was the Steve Wilks year. Remember, that was the Detroit Thanksgiving game. That Steve Wilks came back and that team to me had more personality and pizzazz than any team we've had since 2017. So was there a bit of an overreaction to the last preseason game? Probably, yeah. Is it warranted with how bad this franchise has been for almost 10 years? Yeah, it's warranted. This fan base is going to be a little frustrated, and I think they get to be. Like, this fan base gets to be mad if you go out there and look like trash, preseason or not. So I don't know. It's going to be. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I am very, very interested to see what's going to happen. Especially Thursday, we signed a new quarterback. He looked good in practice. I tweeted out. I said, "Hey, cut Andy." I mean, Andy. By the way, Andy has. It was tongue in cheek. I was joking. Andy has looked horrible in 2 preseason games. I mean, awful. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I like the guy that they brought in. He looks good. He looks like he was playing really, really well in practice. But we'll see what happens. The other thing to monitor is there was more info coming out of the Trey Hendrickson camp. So the Diana Rossini tweeted out today that the Bengals want a first and they want a first and a defensive starter, essentially. That doesn't have to be in the defensive line. That's not going to happen. That's the starting price. I think that they had to start there so that teams could counter, but there's no team in their right mind that's, well, maybe the Cowboys. The Cowboys gave up a 4th rounder for Jonathan Mingo, so never say never. But I would be very, very surprised to see the Panthers, who, by the way, were, according to Jordan Schultz, one of the main teams that have inquired about Hendrickson. So I don't know. I think give them a 3rd and a 6th rounder, or give them a 3rd and Cade Mays. But we do not need to give up a 1st or 2nd rounder. And it doesn't go with what Dan Morgan has wanted this whole time. Dan wants to develop young guys. Dan has skipped on guys that are veterans because he wants younger guys. So is it going to happen? Potentially. I mean, DraftKings and some of these betting markets, say what you want about the betting markets, they're normally right about a lot of things. And they have the Panthers as the number 1 team in contention for Trey Hendrickson. So do what you want with that information. I think that, I think that we're just going to have to see what happens. But a lot could happen in the next week or so, the next couple weeks. But I do think the Bengals do not have the leverage. When they put out that statement via the insiders, via Ian Rappaport or whatever, and they said, we are willing to listen to offers, that they lost the leverage. Trey has the leverage now. So we'll see what happens. All in all, a lot going on today. Canales said that today's practice was a little more chill, so there's going to be some more, it's going to be a heavier practice tomorrow. So we'll have some information for y'all then for the next video. And thanks for hopping in and joining in, and I'll see y'all in the next one.